On today's episode of Club 904, apologies, we're a little late to the party. We're going to time travel a bit in today's episode. I also think it's the first time that I've truly ever done a podcast live from a business center / hallway at the Ritz-Carlton in Amelia Island. We're on duty for UNF, but we're previewing Jags and Raiders with your boy, Q Myers, the program director and host for the Raiders Radio Network out in Las Vegas, and of course my co-host on ESPN Radio. We're going to get after it. It's going to be a little wacky. Brace yourself, folks, because Club 904 is going up on a Thursday. Welcome into a Thursday episode of Club 904. I am your host, Mia O'Brien. Yes, we are live coming at you on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 channel. We also have my friend Mark behind me because we're at the Ritz-Carlton in Amelia Island. I think Mark's going to probably open one of these doors for me and get you situated in there. But hey, we appreciate you guys hanging out with us on a Thursday. Of course, this episode will be available on demand. And now we're going to make our move into the real podcast studio here at the Ritz-Carlton in Amelia Island. Yes, we are on assignment for the University of North Florida, but still bringing you your daily dose, your Thursday dose of Club 904. Of course, if at any point in the show you want to comment, you want to get in on the conversation, be sure to do so by either interacting with us on YouTube. Let's put the microphone down here for a second, Mia. There we go. Boom. Now we're rocking and now we're rolling. Perfect. Awesome. If you want to get in on the conversation at any point in time, be sure to do so. Just comment, leave a tweet, something like that. At Mia O'Brien TV. And of course, we are live on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 channel as well. Whole lot we're going to get into today. We're going to talk Jags-Raiders. We're going to have Q Myers come on here momentarily. That episode, or that part of the episode, I should say, is taped from yesterday because I am on assignment up in Amelia Island. And because Q also has lots of responsibilities as the program director for the Raiders Radio Network. But let's begin with this as we wait for more of you to get into Club 904. I'm going to get everything, all the bells and whistles up and rolling on my end. Happy Thursday to you too, Duval T87. Thanks for hanging out with us on YouTube. So many different ways you can interact with us, whether that is, again, on X, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, all the different ways. Dan Griffiths is hanging out in Club 904 as well. Of course, he will join us on Tuesday for another edition of the Data Bank following the Jaguars Week 9 matchup with the Las Vegas Raiders. That's where we begin today's show, the latest when it comes to injuries, because I think that that's a good way to set the table for our conversation with Q Myers that you'll hear after our first time out. For the Jaguars on Wednesday, after having a pseudo practice on Monday that doesn't actually count in terms of the injury report heading into this matchup, because usually they don't practice on a Monday, but they did coming off of their bye week. Devin Lloyd participated in the stretching portion of practice with the rest of the team. But then when it came time to actually do individual drills, he was not part of the workouts on Monday. He worked off to the side, as did Tim Patrick, as did tight end Quentin Morris. We fast forward to yesterday's practice, Wednesday, which I was at. And while Tim Patrick did work off to the side, it was after he stretched with the full team. Both Lloyd and Morris stretched with the team, no non-contact penny, and then were a part of their individual drills, officially listed as limited on the injury report. I am very curious, and we talked with Q about this, how the Jaguars play this injury to Devin Lloyd. He has only missed 3 games in his NFL career. He's in his 4th season, with all 3 of them coming during trips to London. Poor guy. He never gets a trip to go to London. He did get to go in the summer as an ambassador of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And so ultimately, it's going to be interesting knowing that he was the September Defensive Player of the Month for the AFC. He is, as of this writing, and Q notes this in our conversation coming up in just a little bit, he has more interceptions than the entire Raiders team. He has more interceptions than a lot of teams up to this point, even though he has played essentially 5 and change games because he really did not play much of that Seattle Seahawks game. And so I'm really curious to see how the Jaguars play this. Ventrell Miller, especially in run defense, was a more than capable replacement for Devin Lloyd against the Rams. He was not the reason that the Jaguars were thumped. I guess that's the right verb, analogy, or adjective to use. 35-7 against the Los Angeles Rams the last time we saw them on a football field. And so because of that, I think that knowing the Raiders and the deficiencies they have, but also knowing the potent running game that could exist if they choose to unleash Ashton Genty, and certainly having Brock Bowers back. We'll get to the Raiders injury report here in just a second. Obviously, that could create a mismatch. I'm interested to see how the Jaguars slow roll or play Devin Lloyd's injury in particular. Again, Quentin Morris was limited, blocking tight end number 4. I do think the Jags want to roll out some pretty heavy personnel going up against a Raiders defense that, in my estimation, and I think Q's too, they can overpower that front 7. And so I'm interested to see, again, the usage when it comes to the tight ends, knowing full well they do not have Brenton Strange until at earliest the game against the Los Angeles Chargers in mid-November. Some other injury news. Eric Murray, the lone DNP. I love how I led with the guy who at least was at practice yesterday. Eric Murray did not practice again on Wednesday after not being spotted at Monday's practice either. He was in the locker room after practice, which typically you do not see players who are injured in the locker room after, but he was there sitting at his locker, smiling, said hi to him. So it'll be interesting to see Eric Murray's availability, how that affects the Jaguars going into this Week 9 matchup with Las Vegas. Because while, yes, certainly there's more than a few of you, and again, you can get in on the comments, get in on the conversation, who would like to see a change at the safety position. Ultimately, if Eric Murray can't go, you're really going to bench Dewey Wingard? You're going to bench that other veteran safety? Because Antonio Johnson has to start at that point in time, or maybe Rayon Lane, the rookie out of Navy, the 6th-round pick. And then after that, you get to Khalif. I'm going to butcher his last name, so I'm just going to call him Khalif, who they signed off or they claimed off waivers not too long ago. And then you're looking at practice squad guys. The Jaguars would have just 4 healthy safeties. I do believe that opens up opportunity to potentially see Travis Hunter, Jarian Jones a bit more in the game, because perhaps the Jaguars are going to have to dip into that cornerback room that is pretty healthy, knock on wood right now, and say, you know what? We can't play all of these guys at the same time at outside corner, but if some of them have position versatility, which I can tell you several of them do, they have been cross-trained at the safety spots. Do you lean into that room and lean into the cornerback room as a strength and say, we'll find a way to get our best 11 on the field, even if it is not in a traditional formation, in a traditional look that you would see for a defensive alignment? And so Eric Murray's injury is certainly one to watch. I think that it's interesting when it's coupled with Andrew Wingard's struggles over the last 2 weeks, although I don't think he's struggled overall. I think he's just been burned by the big play, but I think the Jaguars have been burned by the big play as well. Some other notes from the Jaguars injury report before we get to the Las Vegas Raiders. Dyami Brown, Brian Thomas Jr., Dennis Gardick, Jordan Lewis, all 4 had the non-contact penny on at yesterday's practice. All 4 were officially limited at practice, as was the aforementioned Tim Patrick with the groin injury he suffered against the Rams. And so he was off to the side with trainers. Those other 4 were participants, but again, they were limited participants. And Brian Thomas Jr., as many of you have now seen, did have the shoulder mount thing going on in the locker room. I did not get a chance to catch up with Brian Thomas Jr. Did get a chance to catch up with Trayvon Walker. You will hear that conversation as well coming up a little bit later here in Club 904. I also talked to Dyami Brown, and subscribers to the Mo Bryan NFL Notebook already heard this, already read this. If you haven't subscribed already, free 7-day trial is still ongoing. You also can get in on the conversation there with our Discord channel, where we're constantly updating every single moment. It's a great way to interact as a group, as a collective. And I noted to you guys there that Dyami Brown told me he found out the Friday of the London game that he was going to be the Jaguars kick returner against the Rams alongside Bashal Tutin. And obviously, that's a bit of a surprise for someone who has never returned kicks in the National Football League, never returned kicks at the college level. Ultimately, it was a decision by the coaching staff, and it was based upon Joshua Carty and the Rams kicker and his ability to kick that knuckleball and wanting a wide receiver to catch it. But in turn, he's now limited. He's been banged up a little bit. What does that mean for not just the Jaguars wide receiver room, their special teams? The expectation is that he will return kicks again against the Raiders on Sunday. But the Travis Hunter usage question, which has been everybody's favorite question around these parts since he was drafted number 2 overall. Let's get to that Raiders injury report before we head on over and hear from our friend Q Myers. Brock Bowers has told reporters he anticipates playing, which would obviously be a significant development for a Raiders team that had just 3 first downs against the Kansas City Chiefs the last time we saw them on a practice field. I think that when you look at, and hold on, let's get Raiders injury report. What are we doing here, folks? Come on now. This is what happens when we're live, in case you're just joining us. I promise I'm not in a jail cell. I promise, if you're watching live on YouTube, and be sure to leave a comment, leave a chat. I see Daniel's hanging out with us. Ether Dark is always hanging out with us. Ooh, you got some nice keys to the game, Ether Dark. Matt Jones as well. We'll hit some of those in our final segment of today's Club 904. Here is that injury report for the Las Vegas Raiders. Brock Bowers, a full participant officially on Wednesday. Max Crosby did not practice with a back injury. Trevor Lawrence with, as some of my contemporaries on the beat put it, some very pointed comments when it came to Max Crosby and the game record that he is in the context of the National Football League and the challenge he could present. But he did not practice on Wednesday, with the back injury. Adam Butler also did not practice. Lonnie Johnson was limited with the fibula. Jacoby Myers, who missed that game against the Chiefs, a full participant, as was quarterback Aiden O'Connell and safety Isaiah Polo Mao with an ankle injury. All of that to say, you get Myers back, you get Brock Bowers back. Those are your top two targets in the passing game. Could that elevate Geno Smith in this offense enough to give the Jaguars a run for the money? At the last check of the sports books, whether that be my friends at ESPN Bet, the local folks at Hard Rock or DraftKings, the line has shifted to 3.5 in favor of the Jaguars, the total at 45.5. And we hit those lines with Emerson Latzia on Tuesday's episode. I'm interested. The fact that Brock Bowers practices in full, Jacoby Myers practices in full, and yet Vegas says, you know what? I'm going to lean even more into the Jags. I'm going to put even more money on the Jags because they believe in the Liam Cohen coach speak. They believe in the Liam Cohen first time off the bye agenda. And as our friends at Underdog Fantasy just noted, I saw on the timeline, Travis Hunter, wide receiver 26 heading into week 9 across the National Football League, aka a wide receiver 1 by their metric. Will he actually be the wide receiver 1, the primary option for the Jaguars in the passing game against the Raiders at Allegiant Stadium? It will be curious to see. Let's take our first break. I know it was a chaotic start, but I appreciate all you guys hanging out with us in Club 904 live on a Thursday. And if you aren't, tell your friends. Mia is broadcasting live from essentially a booth in the Ritz-Carlton and Amelia Island because they're great hosts, and I'm on assignment for their some stuff going on up here as well. So let's have some fun. Q Meyer is going to join us. Don't worry, that conversation was taped. That's the part of this that's a little bit of teleporting, and then I'll come back at the end live. We'll do some live Q&A. So leave a comment, leave a question, and we will hit it at the end of this hour-long episode of Club 904 on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 channel.
Welcome inside the Armor Guard exterior and gutter helmet showroom. There's a lot going on, like glass exteriors, replacement windows, and down there we have the retractable screens and awnings, plus hurricane protection. Let's talk more about those gutters, and to do that, we bring in Kevin. He's the owner, he's the expert. Why Gutter Helmet?
Well, Gutter Helmet is truly the only maintenance-free product. It lets the trash and debris go on the ground, the water wraps around and goes inside. Unlike filters, they sit on top of the gutters, and the trash debris build up on top of filters, which requires maintenance. With Gutter Helmet, we're going to keep you off the ladder, the most dangerous thing in your garage. With Gutter Helmet, you'll never clean your gutters again. So get off the ladder and put on the helmet. Gutter Helmet.
Get a free estimate at gutterhelmetofnorthflorida.com. You can also call 904-762-7779 or visit the showroom on St. John's Bluff Road in Jacksonville.
Empower a future, inspire a dream. It's a bold but simple mission for the Jacksonville Police Athletic League known as Jax PAL. Help the next generation of kids in Jacksonville shape a brighter future. Their after-school programs, teenage leadership programs. There's community outreach.
It's been just an awesome opportunity to be out here with my colleagues and do something good for the community. It's really been an interesting opportunity to just see everybody work together in a way that we don't normally in the office.
And there's sports. There are also ways you can help the next generation with a donation of any kind. Just visit jaxpal.org to get more information. Empower a future, inspire a dream with Jax PAL.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants.
We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter.
Right now, you can get a free Kinetico reverse osmosis system with the purchase of a Kinetico Premier Softener. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Kinetico water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Ask about our 90-day love it or leave it guarantee. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Kinetico dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
There's a saying in sports, you can't win them all, but you can win a lot with good folks on your team. Like that one painter, First Coast. It's tough to beat the sun in Florida, so your home fades. It's tough to beat that HOA when they come calling. Beat the sun, beat the HOA with that one painter, First Coast. And it's a good time to do it. Less rain to work around and painting in mild temperatures is perfect. After all, the paint bonds to the surface so much better. Give that one painter First Coast a call at 904-417-3557 or look them up at first-coast.thatonepainter.com. Fast estimate, guidance on color and HOA requirements, and the highest quality job you'll find anywhere. Be a big winner in your neighborhood with that one painter First Coast on your team.
Sun's out, suits out. That's right, it's summertime in Florida, which means it's time to say goodbye to bulking season and hello to shredding season. But if you're like me, you're having a hard time sculpting and shaping those final pounds. That is until I came and saw my friends over at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics. Right now, everyone is hopping on the Evolve X train, and the only destination is finding your perfect summer body. The technology uses electrical muscle stimulation and radio frequency energy to cause your muscles to contract, all while heating up those deep layers of your skin and tissue to produce collagen and reduce fat. It's like doing 1,000 sit-ups in 30 minutes. No pain, no needles, just results, right?
That's right.
So leave those winter layers back at the station and come look and feel your best with the team here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics. Visit them at one of their 2 locations, either over in Ponte Vedra or on the south side.
Here we go. 3. Say this. Here's Sunday. Yes, I am live at the back to Club 904. I told you this would be a time traveling episode. Yes, I am live at the Miller Electric Center on Wednesday. You're listening to this on Thursday. Maybe after that, all you really need to know, the Jaguars leave early Saturday morning to head out to Las Vegas to face the Las Vegas Raiders Sunday at 4:05 p.m. Eastern time at Allegiant Stadium. And excited to welcome in, oh man, I don't usually get to say this, but my tag team partner on ESPN Radio, co-host, the host of Game Night on ESPN Radio National, and of course a host on the Raider Nation Radio Network. It is your boy Q Myers. Appreciate you hopping on, brother, man. What's going on?
Man, anytime I get the chance to hang out with you, I'm good to go. And so I definitely appreciate you having me on the show.
I teased that you would be our guest for Thursday's episode, and I had multiple people reach out who knew that I'm also hosting with you on ESPN Radio on Thursday night, and they were like, oh my God, like you're just hanging out with Q all day. And I said, there's a lot of time traveling going on because, of course, you're also on the Pacific Coast time right now, which we appreciate you taping this early with us. A lot of time travel, but we make it happen because that's what we do.
Time travel's cool. Let's do it, right? Time travel's a lot of fun, especially when I'm kicking it with you. We're hanging out. We're having a good time. Why not?
Something tells me that that's now going to be a topic on ESPN Radio on Thursday night, but I digress. Anywho, Q, let's talk Jags-Raiders. As much as we both cover the league nationally on ESPN, we both also have our local beats, and those local beats clash this weekend at Allegiant Stadium. I teased it on Tuesday, and I'm going to start there. I was rattling off the Raiders defensive line outside of Max Crosby and Malcolm Kuntz. Probably the logical place to start is the offense with Geno Smith and the idea of Chip Kelly and that marriage not working. But let's start on the defensive side. We'll pick up where we left off at Tuesday's episode, just because I am curious, how is Patrick Graham maximizing a roster that really doesn't have a ton of stars outside of Jamal Adams and the twilight of his career and Crosby?
Yeah, it's a good question because I don't think that they're maximizing those guys yet, right? And I do think that they have the opportunity. Robbie Leonard is a really good defensive line coach, and he's one of the biggest keys to this whole puzzle. Even when Max Crosby went down, they were still able to get production out of those guys along the defensive line. But so far, Malcolm Kuntz hasn't really showed up to the party, but coming back off the ACL surgery that he had a year ago in preseason, as a matter of fact. Tyree Wilson is still very inconsistent. Adam Butler, I think, is doing really well when it comes to run stuffing, and Jonah Laulu, he's been the big surprise. You know, he's a young guy, second-year guy. He's already up to 4 sacks so far. But he's not in the game that often, but he still has production. So I think you'll see an uptick of Jonah Laulu, but he's really been the one that stepped up and really complimented what Max Crosby could do on the defensive line. But I don't think they've got the production that they want quite yet from that unit, and they're definitely going to need more in the, second half. It's 10 games now that they're off their bye, but I just think that they need to step it up, because the key to Patrick Graham's defense is always going to be getting pressure with the front four, and so far throughout the course of the year, they haven't got enough pressure in.
How about from that back end? Obviously, Liam Cohen just spoke as we're recording this. He's just spoken. He referenced Jamal Adams, probably the biggest name in that back end. What have you seen from the secondary that potentially could create problems for Trevor Lawrence and company on Sunday?
Well, see, the thing for Jamal Adams is, he's a safety by nature, but he's playing the linebacker role for the Raiders. And you know how that is with Jamal anyway. He's always been better by the line of scrimmage than he has been, back in coverage. And so he's been, in that linebacking room with Devin White, with Landon Roberts, and Jermaine Pratt when he was there. He's not there anymore. But, he's really filling in that role. So that's where you see him. So that's where the trouble comes for Trevor Lawrence, is the fact that Jamal Adams is lurking around the line of scrimmage, and he's a guy that wants to penetrate and get to the quarterback. He's a guy that wants to get into the backfield and get to the running back. Like, he's really adapted and embraced that role that they've had him playing. So it's not really that he's in the coverage in the back end, the safety position. And there's a lot of questions I feel like that the Raiders have with their secondary that still are TBD, to see if these guys are going to be able to step up. But Jamal Adams has been healthy. He's fast. And the one thing about Jamal is, he's a very good sure tackler, right? He's one of those guys that doesn't miss a lot of tackles. So that's why they feel very comfortable having him up there by the line of scrimmage playing that linebacker role, because he is very good and effective when it comes to not missing tackles.
So that's that second tier of the defense. Then you alluded to kind of the nameless DBs still kind of figuring that out.
Yep.
Liam referenced the idea of Patrick Graham is going to employ everything, cover 0, cover 1, cover 2. Like, he's going to do a little bit of everything, but it is more of a predominantly zone defense.
Yep.
What sort of mismatches has that created for offenses to thwart and exploit here through the first 7 games of the regular season?
Well, to me, it just feels like the zone coverage that they spend a lot of time in, I feel like that there's a lot of communication breakdowns for the Raiders in their secondary. I feel like that there's times when guys are supposed to pass off a wide receiver to someone else, and maybe that pass off isn't clean. And then all of a sudden you see a wide receiver kind of in the open pocket. And so it's led to some times when you see guys just wide open, you wonder, how do you get that wide open? Well, it's just because of communication breakdown. And look, you've got Jeremy Chin in the back end at that deep safety role, but he also comes up and plays the big nickel role. So sometimes you'll see him in the slot as the big nickel. And obviously he's a sure tackler as well. There's a lot of veterans on this team that are sure tacklers and physical guys like a Jeremy Chin. And then you got Isaiah Polamalu, who I don't know if he's even going to play on Sunday because he got banged up the last game that they played in week 7 against the Kansas City Chiefs. So still TBD if he's going to play. Lonnie Johnson might return. His window's been activated. His 21-day window's been activated to bring him back off IR. So there's still some questions, and it just seems like because there's a lot of new in the secondary, they're not all 100% where they're supposed to be. Eric Stokes has actually had a quiet, really good season at the cornerback position, former number 1 pick by Green Bay. He's been playing really well. He missed 1 game due to injury, but outside of that, he's been playing well. And then you've got, Darian Porter. We could see an uptick of him. He's a 3rd-round pick out of Iowa State. I like him a lot, but he was replaced in the starting lineup, or never even really quite made it to the starting lineup, by Caillou Blue Kelly, who's been around the league for a little while, but he's been struggling. So he's been, been targeted a lot by different teams. So there's a lot of questions in the secondary. I guess when you think about everything I just said, you're like, yeah, there's some questions there. It's not a complete unit just yet.
Well, it's because there's a lot of moving parts, like you alluded to. There's guys who've been replaced, and then this guy gets hurt, and then they bring this guy in off the street, and then here's a 3rd-round rookie in Darian Porter who didn't start until his 6th year at Iowa State, was regarded more as a special teams guy, and all of a sudden he's asked to fill a major role on that defense. defense. And so I think that it's, a young first-year operation with some pieces that are holdovers from the previous regime with some new pieces they're trying to filter in. Hanging out with Q Myers of ESPN Radio as well as the Raiders Radio Network, breaking down Jags and Raiders. Q, you brought up that loss to the Chiefs. That's probably a good segue as we look to the offensive side of the ball for Las Vegas. 3 of 22 or 3 total third downs. Was that correct? Am I reading those
first
stats correctly?
downs? 3 total first downs.
Yes.
30 plays. They ran 30 offensive plays. Mia, the Chiefs had 31 first downs. Think about that. They had 31 first downs. The Raiders ran 30 plays of offense. Like that, where does that happen at? Where do they do that at?
Here's my thing. You have Ashton Genty. Like, how is that happening if you have a guy who had as many yards via missed tackles in college as other starting running backs at the Power 4 level had total yards on the ground? Like,
right.
I just don't understand. Like, even if you're going up against an absolute, machine and buzzsaw in the Kansas City Chiefs with Rashee Rice back in the lineup, I just don't understand how they haven't been able to at least run the ball. Is that offensive line really that bad?
It's not good. Don't get me wrong. It's not good, but I don't think there's been a commitment to the run game. I mean, I'll just be straight up. I really don't. And this is something that I've been kind of pounding the table locally on my radio show. Like, there has to be a commitment to the run. You don't draft Ashton Genty, number 6 overall, to give him an average of 15 carries a game. And that's what he's averaging, right? 15 carries. And against Kansas City, he carried the rock 6 times. And I don't know about you, Mia. You're very sharp when it comes to NFL. I mean, you're just sharp, period. But NFL, if you're down your number 1 target, Brock Bowers, you're down your number 2 target, Jacoby Myers, that going into the game and you get the ball first. Why does Ashton Genty only get 1 carry on the first possession? You know what I mean? Like, that you can't tell me, well, it had to come from behind. You got the ball first. You know what I mean? Like, if anything, I'm giving the ball to him 3, 4, 5 times in a row and saying, hey, this is how this game's going to go because we're down our guys. You've got to do the heavy lifting. And they didn't do that. He carried the rock 6 times against Kansas City. And to me, that's unacceptable. But that's just me.
Six times. I can't. Well, so to that point, because the Jaguars are experiencing somewhat similar situation, albeit not with the number 6 overall pick from this past April's NFL draft, because Liam Cohen noted it on Monday. He said it again just now in the press room. This idea of when you take a sack on the first play of the game, when you're in 1st and long, 2nd and long, he admitted he's called 47 passing plays each of the last 2 weeks. That's on him as the play caller, that he should be leaning more into the run. That's part of why the Jaguars are no longer a top 10 running outfit as they were through the first 5 weeks of the season. But in turn, I think a lot of it, is on the play caller. And I'm shocked with Chip Kelly with his experience at Ohio State the last 2 years. I know he doesn't have Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins back there, but he's got Ashton Genty, who was drafted higher than those other 2 players. And while that's where, I think the logic is the offensive line, but the fact that it's the play caller, even if you're in 1st and long, 2nd and long, and so you say, well, this is a passing down, Ashton Genty can average 10 yards a carry in some instances.
Yeah, exactly. And, I don't think that him and Pete Carroll are 100% on the same page right now with that play calling. Again, that's just my gut feeling. But little things here, little things there when Pete Carroll talks. And I had mentioned to him a few weeks ago, how do you get Geno Smith more comfortable? How do you settle him down in this offense so he doesn't turn the ball over? And, he went into this long explanation about how, he's trying to be careful. There's a fine line. And then at the very end, he said, now, look, he's not calling the plays. He's not calling the plays. And he specifically said that. Now, he ain't calling the plays. So, okay. All right. That caught my attention because he's right. He's not calling the plays. So who is? Chip Kelly. So I don't know exactly where the I don't want to say disconnect. That might sound too harsh, but I don't know where maybe the miscommunication is where, hey, this team needs to run the ball. And Pete Carroll has been very, as a matter of fact, even in the past few weeks after that comment, he just says, hey, we have to have a commitment to running the ball. We have to run the ball. We have to run the ball. We have to run the ball. So I think that, I don't know, I'm not the smartest guy in the world. They probably need to try to run the ball.
Is that some trouble in paradise between the head coach and the play caller, perhaps?
I don't want to say that is, but I took note. I'll just say that I took note because when the head coach says that he ain't calling the plays, that to me that says something. Again, I don't have to be a genius and I don't have to stay in a hotel that makes you a genius to say, to be able to read between the lines that, hey, there needs to be a more commitment to running the rock. So we'll see.
Well, To that point, and while yes, part of it may be play calls by Chip Kelly, Geno Smith, as I've joked now several times over, is handing out interceptions like they're candy on Halloween.
Yeah.
Something tells me we will also be using that line on Thursday night's program on ESPN Radio. Why? It's situational. Is it the disconnect between the quarterback and the play caller? What do you think of Geno's regression?
It kind of blows my mind because I didn't think that he was going to be a guy that was going to be a turnover machine. But I mean, I did go back and do a lot of the research before the season ever started. Once Geno Smith was traded to the Raiders, it's like, okay, so what was his Achilles heel in Seattle? Well, he turned the ball over a lot, and he turned the ball over a lot in the red zone. And so everyone that's smarter than me that covers a team up there said, well, he did it because his offensive line wasn't protecting him, and he felt like he had to do everything on his own. So then you fast forward and say, well, okay, maybe the offensive line is not protecting him well enough, and he thinks he has to do everything on his own, so he's trying to do too much. But the last couple of games, you've seen that, I think now he's in his own head where he's not trying to turn the ball over. He's trying to be too careful. So now he's almost playing guarded. So it's like, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Do you want to go out there, play loose and free and let it rip and do your thing and live with the results? Or do you want to play very careful? And so I think there's a fine line that he's got to figure out how to play careful, how to protect the ball, but also how to be an asset instead of just, a guy that's there and trying to, manage the game. And I mean, I guess maybe you have to manage the game a little bit. I don't know. It's really weird, but he's turned the ball over way too many times. And now you see he's not even really stretching the field. I think against who was it? A couple weeks ago against Tennessee, I think he had one completion that went for more than 10 yards. And that's just not going to cut it. So there's a lot of questions if Geno, if he continues to play at this level, will he be the starting quarterback for the Raiders?
Ooh, interesting. That could be fascinating if a change was made in the first year of this new regime at the quarterback position, which they traded for the quarterback of Pete Carroll's choice. To that point, Q, this is something that fans in Jacksonville have been clamoring with Trevor Lawrence. Certainly it's been debated on local radio, in-house radio productions here. Pete Prisco has been screaming it on Jaguars Happy Hour the last 2 weeks. This idea of Trevor Lawrence is also not taking the deep shot because he's playing more safe, conservative, take the check down, live to see another down. In my estimation, in that of some of my contemporaries on the beat here, some of that is holdover influence from Doug Peterson and his insistence upon taking care of the football, not fumbling the football. But at the same time, I also think, and maybe the same as with Geno, so I'm curious your take, I feel like part of it is this whole new trend around the league, thanks to Jim Harbaugh and the Reclamation Project, although I don't think he needed to be reclaimed all that much, of Justin Herbert, and this idea of they brought Justin Herbert down to the studs. Part of it was predicated on the injury to start the 2024 season, but they said, we are going to build a run game for Justin Herbert so he does not have to throw the ball 45 times a game. And they were able to manage through the first 5-6 weeks of the season where he was only throwing the ball 25 times a game max. Part of that was because they were playing with a lead and the run game was successful. But now I feel like a lot of other teams are trying to emulate that because now game manager is no longer a dirty word in the National Football
I can
League.
see that. That's for sure could be a scenario. And I think that's what Pete Carroll tried to do from the jump with Geno Smith. I think that was his number one goal. I remember when he was introduced to us as the head coach, I asked one of the first questions, knowing that the Raiders needed a quarterback at the time. And I said, what are you looking for in your next quarterback? And he said, look, it's not all on the quarterback. I mean, he was very specific. It's not all on the quarterback. We've got to build around him. We've got to put together a good offensive line. We got to put together good weapons. We've got to put together a good, strong run game. So he let it be known then, that was back in January, that this was not going to be the quarterback is going to be the end all be all, but he's going to have a lot of complementary parts around him. And obviously you see what they go out to do. They proceed to go get, Ashton Genty, number 6 overall. I just don't think it's come together. I think ideally that's what Pete Carroll wanted. He wanted Geno Smith to throw the ball 20 to 25 times. He wanted to see Ashton Genty be a 25-touch guy, 20 carries and 5 receptions a game. He I think wanted that in his mind. It just hasn't come to fruition for one reason or the other. Having Brock Bowers out is obviously a big deal as well because he's a key cog to that offense. And then going back to Kansas City, having Jacoby Myers out too, that's your top 2 targets. So this team is trying to get healthy and see what they, come up with out of the bye. I'm real curious to see what those conversations were like and if we see any difference in what this team looks like coming out of the bye, since now that they've had a week to sit down, kind of self-evaluate what they've done through 7 games, and can they improve it?
Well, the biggest asterisk to all of that is that Brock Bowers is back. Maybe back? How would you evaluate that health situation for Sunday?
I think a gut feeling tells me he's going to be back. That's what Pete Carroll told us leading into the bye week, that they thought he was going to come back after the bye week, and he was trending in the right direction. I know he was out there practicing the week of the bye, the first couple days that they were still in town and practicing. He was out there. We haven't got official word yet. I'm sure that they're going to probably hold on to that until the last second. But I would anticipate, if I was a betting man on this one, I'd anticipate seeing Brock Bowers on Sunday.
Hey, but we can talk about betting. None of the players are going to talk about
right,
betting.
Exactly.
No gambling. Liam Cohen just told literally minutes ago before we started recording this part of the pod. Liam Cohen just told us that he told his players, do not even go eat dinner in the casino. Do not go near it with the current temperature in the sports landscape. Don't even chance it. Q, let's wrap on this. What is the sentiment? What is the biggest X factor for Raider fans, for Raider media, as you guys look at this matchup with the Jaguars? What concerns you the most that Jacksonville possesses in the matchup?
Well, Jacksonville's very good at turning the ball over, creating turnovers, I should say. And as we know, Geno Smith has turned the ball over quite a bit, right? I mean, 10 interceptions on the season, and the Raiders, they don't have a very good, turnover ratio, right? I mean, they're definitely in the minus when it comes to, what they're doing when it comes to giving the ball away and taking the ball away. They're not very good at that. For me, that's the biggest key in this game is, can the Raiders protect the ball while also not just being too safe, right? I mean, again, it's a fine line. You want them to be aggressive. You want them to be able to push the ball down the field, but you also don't want them to be reckless. And, with the fact that, a guy like Devin Lloyd has, 4 interceptions, I think he has 4 interceptions on the season as the Jaguars linebacker, there's not one Raider DB that has 4 interceptions. Right, he's got more interceptions than the Raiders team has, and interceptions alone. So I know Jacksonville's really good at turning the rock over. So as much as people talk about Liam Cohen and his offensive genius and Trevor Lawrence and all the weapons that are there, I think their biggest X factor in this is the fact that they can create turnovers, and the Raiders are really good at giving the ball away.
And our hope is that Devin Lloyd will be back and healthy. How wild is this, Q? He's missed 3 games in his 4-year career. All 3 have been London games. Yeah. I don't know how that happens, but he just manages to always get hurt right around the London game. So it'll be curious to see if he's back. He was stretching on Monday. I would expect, he'll be around the team, but with it being a calf injury, we've seen it in the NBA with Tyrese Halliburton, with Kevin Durant. It's one of those where, you tell me, going up against, if you were Liam Cohen, Q, let's end on this. If you were Liam Cohen and knowing what a calf strain is, and what the Raiders offense possesses, as much as this operation loves to say we're focused on us, we're not focused on the opposition, would you chance it? Would you play Devin Lloyd even coming off of a bye week?
No, probably not. I mean, honestly, I think he's too good of a player. I really do. I think that you have to make sure you protect him. And if he's out there, right, I want him out there, no doubt. But if he's out there, I want him out there 100%. I don't want him to say, I feel good, I think I can go. Right? It's one of those, doctors, hey, he's fine, he's good. There's no injury, risk here. He should be good to go. Like, I want 100% clearance, and then I want a reassurance on top of that, right? And I know nothing's ever 100% in the NFL, but no, he's just too valuable as far as I'm concerned, just with his production and who he is. He's one of those guys to really build around for the future. So I wouldn't want to risk it, but that's just me.
Yeah, and I guess the question then is do you feel like if you're Liam Cohen, you can beat the Raiders without Devin Lloyd?
Right. Probably. Probably. I'll tell you right now, I think that everyone feels like they can beat the Raiders right now because, honestly, they don't look too good. I mean, I would be lying to you if I thought that, hey, man, this is a game that the Raiders are going to go in there and win. I got plenty of questions. I think this is a pick-em game at best, right? So if not a favorite by the Jaguars, to be honest. I mean, the Raiders just aren't playing good.
Yeah, the Jags are -3, most sports books as of this writing. It'll be curious to see if that goes up, goes down based off availability for some of those star players we ran through today here on Club 904. Appreciate you hopping on with us, Q. And, of course, I will see you tonight, technically. I don't know, we're time traveling. Thursday night. There we go. Thursday night. I will see you. ESPN Radio.
As long as you knock out SportsCenter, I'm good.
I got you on the updates, my man. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Helmet showroom, there's a lot going on, like glass exteriors, replacement windows, and down there we have the retractable screens and awnings, plus hurricane protection. Let's talk more about those gutters, and to do that we bring in Kevin. He's the owner, he's the expert. Why Gutter Helmet?
Well, Gutter Helmet is truly the only maintenance-free product. It lets the trash and debris go on the ground, the water wraps around and goes inside. Unlike filters, they sit on top of the gutters, and the trash and debris build up on top of filters, which requires maintenance. With Gutter Helmet, we're going to keep you off the ladder, the most dangerous thing in your garage. With Gutter Helmet, you'll never clean your gutters again. So get off the ladder and put on the helmet. Gutter Helmet.
Get a free estimate at gutterhelmetofnorthflorida.com. You can also call 904-762-7779 or visit the showroom on St. John's Bluff Road in Jacksonville.
Empower a future, inspire a dream. It's a bold but simple mission for the Jacksonville Police Athletic League known as Jax Pal. Help the next generation of kids in Jacksonville shape a brighter future. Their after-school programs, teenage leadership programs. There's community outreach.
This has been just an awesome opportunity to be out here with my colleagues and do something good for the community. It's really been an interesting opportunity to just see everybody work together in a way that we don't normally in the office.
And there's sports. There are also ways you can help the next generation with a donation of any kind. Just visit jaxpal.org to get more information. Empower a future, inspire a dream with Jax Pal.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants.
We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter.
Right now, you can get a free Kinetico reverse osmosis system with the purchase of a Kinetico Premier Softener. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Kinetico water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Ask about our 90-day love it or leave it guarantee. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Kinetico dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
There's a saying in sports, you can't win them all, but you can win a lot with good folks on your team. Like that one painter, First Coast. It's tough to beat the sun in Florida, so your home fades. It's tough to beat that HOA when they come calling. Beat the sun, beat the HOA with that one painter, First Coast. And it's a good time to do it. Less rain to work around, and painting in mild temperatures is perfect. After all, the paint bonds to the surface so much better. Give that one painter First Coast a call at 904-417-3557 or look them up at first-coast.thatonepainter.com. Fast estimate, guidance on color and HOA requirements, and the highest quality job you'll find anywhere. Be a big winner in your neighborhood with that one painter First Coast on your team.
Sun's out, suits out. That's right, it's summertime in Florida, which means it's time to say goodbye to bulking season and hello to shredding season. But if you're like me, you're having a hard time sculpting and shaping those final pounds. That is until I came and saw my friends over at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics. Right now, everyone is hopping on the Evolve X train, and the only destination is finding your perfect summer body. The technology uses electrical muscle stimulation and radio frequency energy to cause your muscles to contract, all while heating up those deep layers of your skin and tissue to produce collagen and reduce fat. It's like doing 1,000 sit-ups in 30 minutes. No pain, no needles, just results, right?
That's right.
So leave those winter layers back at the station and come look and feel your best with the team here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics. Visit them at one of their 2 locations, either over in Ponte Vedra or on the south side.
Welcome back to a Thursday edition of Club 904. See, now we're back in the present. Our thanks to Q Myers, the program director and host at the Raider Radio Network, for hopping on with us. I'm going to be on with a bunch of the different programs out there in Vegas over the next 2 days. I got Cofield Show tonight. That's going to be live. That'll be 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Going to join Clay Baker and the boys on the morning show tomorrow. I think Q maybe he wants me to pop on rough and rowdy, or unnecessary roughness, excuse me, not rough and rowdy, unnecessary roughness tomorrow. But the good news is you will get 3 hours of yours truly and Q Myers if you enjoyed that sampling just now here on Club 904 this evening from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 7 to 10 p.m. out on the West Coast. If you are just joining us and you look at the background on video and you say, where the heck is Mia? Again, on assignment today up in Amelia Island. Our appreciation to the Ritz-Carlton Hotel for helping us work through all of the Wi-Fi issues and making it possible to bring you a live edition of Club 904, although our conversation with Q, yes, was taped, and Brock Bowers did practice in full as Q anticipated on Wednesday. We're going to hit a couple of your questions off the top here. Then we're going to hear from Trayvon Walker. And then after that, we'll get a couple more questions in, the last dance, and we will get out of here, send you off into your rest of your Thursday, into the weekend ahead of the Jaguars 4:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time matchup on Sunday with the Vegas Raiders. But first, let's hear from Duval T87. Do you think the Jags can catch the Colts? I personally do Duval T87 just because I think it's such a gauntlet for the Colts in the month of December, whereas for the Jaguars, they have the 26th easiest schedule through the rest of their season. And again, the game is not played on paper, as we heard once upon a time. But ultimately, to have to travel to Kansas City, home against the Texans, then at the Jags, then at Seattle, home against the Niners. I don't know what the Niners are going to look like then, but then 2 divisional matchups to end your season. That is as tough a gauntlet as it comes, especially when the Jaguars will be facing the Titans twice during that span and the New York Jets. And so I think that a lot of it depends on where the Colts are. There are a lot of believers in Jonathan Taylor and his ability. My question with Taylor is that he hasn't played a full season since 2021. Actually, it's 2020 going into the 2021 calendar year. And so that's where if he can't stay healthy, this operation is not going to continue at the rate that it is, in my opinion. And I was ahead of the game when it came to Tanner Bortolini, Mac and Calvis being more than suitable replacements for Will Fries and Ryan Kelly on the interior of that Colts offensive line. The Jags may or may not have draftable grades on both those players too, but that's okay. No, it's all good. So, yeah, I think a lot of it depends on the Colts. The Jags obviously control their own destiny. If they get to 9 or 10 wins, they're putting themselves in the race for a playoff picture, and that is all they can do right now. Ether Dark with an interesting comment earlier in the program. Foye is going to lock up Bowers, so that shouldn't be a big factor. It will be curious to see, Ether Dark, if it is Foye Oluokun who trails Brock Bowers, if knowing the depth issues potentially at safety, if Eric Murray can't go. I think they would love to have a 3 safety look and be able to have Antonio Johnson, one of those bigger bodied safeties, follow him. But ultimately, because they may not have the horses for course, if Murray can't go and then Johnson has to slide into the starting lineup, that's where I think it may be a little difficult. You may have to call upon the linebacker. Ventrell Miller, if he plays, if Devin Lloyd does not, I think he's more of your run stuffer. He's much more of your Mike in the middle of everything at the line of scrimmage than he is trailing one of the best, if not the best tight ends in the sport. So it'll be curious to see, to your point, how they match up with Brock Bowers. And to that point, I saw a couple of you guys asking about this idea of, could we see Jarian Jones potentially play a little safety? Could we see Travis Hunter at center field? Dewey Winger maybe hasn't played as poorly as some have suggested, but it's ultimately, he is more of a box safety type, and Antonio Johnson needs to be that free safety. I've seen it floated around the timeline, this idea of the Jaguars have a bunch of great strong safeties. They just don't have anyone who can play center field, to which I say Travis Hunter could. So you could always just throw him out there. I can just tell you from conversations that I have had around the building, it sure sounds like the idea of players over plays has been evaluated over the last week on the defensive side of the ball. And I think that that will result in a different look on a couple different packages for the Jaguars. And of course, especially if Eric Murray is unable to go against the Raiders. Promised you guys you'd get some sound from the locker room on Wednesday. Trayvon Walker, unfortunately, I didn't put him on camera to ask about Aiden Hutchinson and that nice bag that his fellow 2022 draft classmate got. But he was all smiles. He did say to me, and I want to shout out Trayvon for this because we had a good philosophical talk about this. He says, how can I be, oh man, he got the bag and I didn't yet. He said, I'm going to get paid at some point in time, whether it's today, next week, next year. And Aiden's a great player. I root for great players to have success, and that's the right attitude to have. So let's hear from Trayvon Walker. How is the club hand feeling? Will he play with the club hand on Sunday against the Raiders? Let's hear from the Jaguars' former number 1 overall pick from the 2022 NFL. Let's talk about, you showed me the hand the other day, but how we feeling and how does it feel to have use of your fingers again?
It feels good. Just getting back out there, being able to use my fingers, I feel like that's one of the main things. Being a defensive lineman, like you obviously got to use your hands, grab, get out, shit off blocks, and I feel like that's what's going to help me out a lot.
Devon Hamilton has joined the chat.
That's my brother right there. What's up, big guy?
In terms of the shedding blocks and the power, I know that was something that we talked about when you first got the club. Did you feel like you were finding success the last 2 weeks, or did it, in hindsight, you felt it?
Me personally, I definitely didn't feel successful when it came to shedding off of blocks, but obviously it's going to be kind of coming from that, playing with the club. But like I say, we got the fingers out now, and we just steady progressing. It's all about getting 1% better every day.
What did the last 2 weeks teach this defense? Or we can even include the bye week too.
These last 2 weeks, just resiliency and how we just got to continuously grow together. Obviously, we're not going to be perfect. It's not going to be a perfect game every week, but it's all about taking the things that you, the mistakes that you, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I know, this guy over here. The good news is this goes into a podcast, so it's all good.
Yeah, the mistakes that we made in the past 2 weeks, it's just all about coming in and correcting those things, not letting those things trickle over and carry over into the next week and snowball effect. Yeah. But yeah, we're just going to continuously grow together. That's the main thing.
In terms of pass rush, how do you start getting it going, or is it just a matter of you went against
how we get the pass rush going is stopping the run. I feel like the last few weeks, we've done a pretty decent job. We can do a lot better than stopping the run, and then that carries over into rushing the pass. And once we start doing that, getting takeaways, that's when I feel like everything will fall in place.
Went against a Rams team that employed a lot of 13 personnel, a lot of multiple tight end sets. Expectations with Brock Bowers back, your fellow Georgia Bulldog. We might see more of that from the Raiders.
Hey, I mean, I'm pretty sure they're probably gonna try to find something that we struggled with the last 2 weeks and try to implement it into that game. But they're also going to stick with what they do best as well too. And he's already implemented it to that plan, so it's probably going to be some personnel, I think 12, 13 personnel as well. So.
In terms of sheer football players that you've ever been a teammate with, watched, where does he rank?
Hold on, Brock?
Yeah.
I'll just put it this way. When he was in high school, I don't know if I can say that.
It's on YouTube.
What can you say?
Oh, this is YouTube.
Yeah, this is YouTube.
Well,
what can you say?
It's just like when I think it was a time period where he wasn't necessarily all the way in college yet, but he kind of got a little bit of burn with us, and he was definitely a star. He was one of those twinkles that you would see out there. He was just out there running around, doing little one-on-ones, playing around, and he's top.
Well, my favorite story about him was that like Kirby found him, like he was like out running in like Napa Valley and like the mountains during COVID. Like, have you seen that video?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
But Brock, he's one of those guys like, man, he's a great athlete. He can do everything, run routes. He will block. He doesn't mind getting nasty with it. But that's what makes him the best to me. He's one of those guys. He can do everything.
E-Man was saying, expectation, they'll probably start running the ball a little bit more with Ashton Genty.
Yeah, they got a great running back as well too. So I mean, obviously the head coach came out in the media, and that's what he wanted him to get back on track doing, running the ball. So that's what we know. We have to stop the run in order for us to get, like I said, get back on track with the pass rush. That's what we're gonna be focused on, that stopping the run and then let everything else take place.
Our thanks to Trayvon Walker for hopping into Club 904. Time traveled back to yesterday, our conversation in the locker room. He did go on to say that, yes, he will have some sort of cast. The hope is that his fingers will have ability to be used in the pass rush game, as opposed to the last 2 weeks in which he had that club hand and really wasn't able to grip opposing linemen. He will be able to do that, hopefully, against Las Vegas Raiders. Last dance and a couple final questions. Dukes to go. Thanks for finally catching us live. What an episode for you to catch live, as I'm in a phone booth at the Ritz-Carlton in Amelia Island on assignment. Ether Dark, I did get your message. Blink, blink, blink. Glad to know the Powerball numbers. The red one is 1. Okay, good to know. Appreciate that. Ether Dark also says that Dewey's going to get his pick 6 this week. Certainly, that is something Q Myers and I will be talking about tonight on ESPN Radio. AC, any scoops on trades, Jags buyers? The Jags are buyers, that much I can tell you. They are going to do whatever it takes to make this football team a playoff contending football team come December. No one that I know of is on the trade block. They are looking to improve a team that has 4 wins, which if you had heard that back in August at this point in time on October 30th, you would have signed up for it immediately. Today's Last Dance, courtesy of our friend Dan Griffiths, who's out somewhere in Arizona right now, will join us on Tuesday. The Jaguars ranked 31st every new set of downs before the ball is even snapped on first down, thanks to those dreaded penalties. Their average down and distance, 10.23 yards to go on first down. That is 31st in the National Football League. 7.83 yards to go on third down. That is 30th in the National Football League. Liam Cohen's offense is predicated on the run, this idea of staying ahead of the chains. That is how there are solutions. That is how there are easy buttons, layups for Trevor Lawrence. They're not having those easy buttons, those layups right now. And so in terms of expectations for the quarterback, expectations for this offense, when you're playing behind the sticks, whether that is because of penalties or the quarterback taking sacks, 4 of the 7 sacks from a week ago charged Trevor Lawrence, that is where you're putting yourself behind the 8 ball. If the Jaguars can just not put themselves behind the 8 ball and not shoot themselves in the foot, I do believe they cover that 3.5-point spread that has ballooned, even though Brock Bowers is now available this weekend against the Raiders. By all accounts, not officially, but by all accounts, he will be available. And I think the Jaguars get back on the winning track out in Sin City. Our thanks to Q Myers for hopping on with us. Again, if you enjoyed this, we're going to be live on ESPN Radio tonight, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80, ESPN.com. So come hang out with Q. Me, we're workshopping a lot of fun stuff, Halloween-oriented, as well as the fallout of LSU's coaching search. And our thanks to the Ritz-Carlton and Amelia Island for accommodating this podcast so that it could be live to you on a fine Thursday in Northeast Florida. Until Sunday's post-game edition of Club